Hey Jurgen, are you ready for our monthly review?
Absolutely. Let's get into it. We started the month with that massive 7-2 win over Viva Nagasaki, and kept trolling with a 5-0 thrashing of Hoso Kumamoto. The team's firing on all cylinders in the league.
Dead set, and the cup games are just as dramatic. Despite that 5-3 loss to Nara where we had no goalkeeper, we bounced back with a 3-2 win over Zwigan Kanazawa. Not bad with no NAKA-NO.
Yeah, that was a tough decision. NAKA-NO told us he wanted to explore his options at the end of his contract, so I decided it was best to sell him now and bring in Vietnamese International Team Lin as a replacement.
Exactly. Thankfully doesn't look to be hurting our form yet.
Let's hope the honeymoon continues against Sagan Tosu.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 4 of Red Bull KloppBot here on Sean Does FM with Omiya Ardija in the J2 League in Japan. I hope you're doing well, and coming up today we're going to take on one of the pre-season favourites in Sagan Tosu in a league game in April, and also update you guys on a little bit of stuff that happened late on in the transfer window as well, getting rid of one of our better players that we inherited here at Omiya Ardija. So if you're looking forward to that coming up in today's episode, you guys know what to do. Go down below, leave a thumbs up, all that good stuff. But we played a couple of games off back of yesterday's episode, a couple of away ones there where we took on Imabari, and before that also took on Benfere Kofu as well. So if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Since then, we've played 4 games, 2 in the league and 2 in the Japan League Cup, and thankfully we've done what we needed to in those games, even though one of them did result in a loss. But we had a pretty big excuse for that second league loss there too. Now we did put out pretty close to a full rotation. You'll see it there that Wakabayashi, our backup goalkeeper, he got injured and we had no goalkeeper on the bench. I completely forgot that FM24 goalkeeping injuries are quite serious. So it did actually mean that NAKA-NO came off the bench to play the rest of the first half as a goalkeeper. Then we switched him with Osara at halftime, and thankfully NAKA-NO did get a goal in the second half after we were behind by a scoreline of 4-2. It ended up finishing 5-3. That first league win that we picked up did mean we went through 8-6 on aggregate. So a bit of a disappointing result for us there if you look at it in isolation, but it was a heavily rotated team, and the goalkeeping situation feel like that played a pretty big hand there in the fact that they scored 5 goals when they only had 6 shots on target. Actually a game that, based on stats, we should have been winning, but that's not too bad. Was able to give most of our first team players a rest in that game, and around that we did a good job in the J2 League. First up, took on Viva Nagasaki and picked up a really impressive 7-2 win. Fabian Gonzalez, he got a hat-trick. Also goals there to Suzuki and Haloti, and Tanaka and Osawa in injury time was helped out by the fact they picked up a red card in the 28th minute there to Shimizu for 2 yellows inside the first half. But we were already in a pretty strong position by that point and just hammered it home. So a good win for us there, and backed it up with a 5-0 win over Raso Kumamoto. 2 players standing out in this game, Juninho with a hat-trick, and Angelotti, he picked up 2 as well. Some nice impressive wins there in J2, which does mean we are still top of the table these days by 5 points over JEF United Chiba, a further 2 points back to Tokyo Verdy, who lead the list of teams in the playoff spots, currently looking pretty good for automatic promotion up to J1 for our second season here at Omiya Ardija. Fingers crossed that we don't stuff things up. We're going to take on Sagan Tosu, who, to be fair, are struggling a bit more than you might expect. We have played one more game before we came back for today's episode. It was a Cup 1. If it was an interesting opponent, might have included this game, but we took these guys on in our very first game of the season, and it was the exact same result, a 3-2 win, and it was with pretty close to a full rotation. Obviously had Gonzalez at right wing and actually replaced him with Angelotti in the second half. Also a few of our first teamers, they got some minutes off the bench in that one, and what was a pretty close game, but still, with the players we put out for this one, the likes of Makarau, one of the young Brazilians that we did sign, he got his debut, and also Nishimura, that's the first game that he's played, but a 3-2 win there thanks to a late goal to Rasayabe does give us the advantage going to the second league later this month. So hopefully can make our way through the third round of that J-League Cup, but to be fair, we've already surpassed what we put for the board's expectation in game for this one. We said we'd get to the second round considering we played a J3 team in the first round. So once we got past them, now we can just really use this competition to give minutes to our rotation players. But it does mean that we are in quite good nick going into this lone game in today's episode where we take on Sagan Tosu, albeit a few new faces you might have seen in those last couple of games, because we did do a bit of transfer business in and around deadline day a couple of weeks ago now in game. the most notable, as you would have heard through the intro, is we actually sold Sagan NAKA-NO. Now, this of course was a player that the KloppBot recommended that we extend his contract of at the start of the save. I thought we'll be fine, that doesn't expire until next year. Yeah, we probably should have done that in hindsight because he let us know he was going to explore his options at the end of his contract. So that did kind of force us to find a new first choice striker here for the rest of the season at Omiya Ardija. And a shame too, because NAKA-NO was actually in some blooming good form for us, as you're about to see. He played 8 games and picked up 6 goals, 7.41 average rating. So unfortunately, he's no longer at the club. We cashed in on the 29-year-old with that contract situation coming up at the end of the season. To get our highest fee so far here at the club, though, of £925,000, he's gone up to J1 to play for Albirex Niigata, albeit so far has not played a game for those guys, but pretty good transfer profit from us there for NAKA-NO. Just a bit of a shame that we've lost him. I really should have listened to the KloppBot, albeit would have helped out as well if he extended the contract of Yajima at the start of the save. That might have saved us the trouble of having to find a replacement, but we did find a replacement, and it was entirely because of the KloppBot, because there were no local strikers who wanted to come here on our shortlist. So instead, we brought in Nguyen Ten Linh. This was a KloppBot suggestion. He comes in from Vietnam, 50 caps for the international team and 19 goals. Look, he's nowhere near as good as NAKA-NO, who we did let go of, but he's a bit better than our other option in Osawa. So he's going to get a crack there at the starting spot up front off the back of that sale. So far has played 1 game. He was okay in it before we pulled him off with a half hour left. But there's our new striker. Another KloppBot suggestion there. Thankfully, he came up with that one. Otherwise, might have had to do something a bit interesting, and we still could do, because we have Fabian Gonzalez, who, to be fair, isn't the worst striking option, as you can see there. With those attributes, we asked the KloppBot. He suggested that we leave Gonzalez out right and give his signing a chance up front. Otherwise, would have been Yamada stepping up at right wing, and Gonzalez would have gone up front. So to be fair, have a couple of options striker-wise, even though we have let go of NAKA-NO. Personally, I probably would have switched Gonzalez there and gone with Yamada as a first choice right winger, but obviously with that Okai injury currently, that might not be the worst idea. We can always do that if our new signing Ten Linh doesn't fire up front. And also got a few more signings than really just to boost our numbers here going into the rest of the season, because we did still have a few registration spots open, and we did bring in Yoshihiro Shimoda as an extra midfield option from the Kashima Antlers for £250,000. That's going to rise up to $275,000. To be fair, this was the guy we originally lined up to be a defensive midfielder back when we were looking at selling Masato Kojima. At that point, for some reason, he didn't actually want to join the club, but on deadline day he did, so he's come here for that fee. He's 20 years old, so to be fair, we don't even need to register him being under 21 years old, but 2-star current ability, 5-star potential, albeit 4 of that is gold. He looks like a good addition, a player with plenty of promise, and also got a few players in thanks to our under-18s manager. We'll just pop this up so you can see what that is all about. We've got the Tomo Sato, who is a fairly promising central midfielder at 16 years old. Also, João Vinicius is someone that we signed, a young Brazilian who can do a job for us in goal, the 18-year-old with 4-star potential. And the last transfer we made in the window was NAKA-NO, who is a centre-back come right back with, again, that 5-star potential, 4 of that being gold. So that's all our transfer business done. In the end, we've actually made a profit in this transfer window thanks to that sale of NAKA-NO, but it does mean on paper, actually, looking a little bit weaker than we were before that sale, because these days, we're only predicted to be finishing, once we go to the season preview, in 15th, but we're clearly doing a lot better than that going back to the table. We're top and by a big margin, but that could change. This is our first big real test off the back of that sale of NAKA-NO. We take on Sagan Tosu, who, going back to the season preview, are expected to be right up there in terms of the promotion fight there, just in behind the 2 real hot favourites in Tokyo Verdy and Makita Zalvia. But to be fair, we already accounted for Makita in the first gameplay episode a couple of days ago. So hopefully, if we beat these guys, we might still be looking good to get promoted despite the sale there of NAKA-NO. And to be fair, that should mean our transfer budget next season is quite hefty, and we could always spend a bit more once we get to the next transfer window in July if our scouts can find a few more good local options in that striking position, but Sagan Tosu's who we're going to take on in today's episode, not doing as well as you'd expect considering where they're supposed to be on the season preview. They did lose to Makita Zalvia 3-0, so based on that, this is definitely a team that we can beat, especially with this game being the first one you're going to see at our home stadium so far, and they've dropped lots of points as well against some teams who are struggling, in particular their most recent one against Fagiano Okayama to be fair, the other draw that did come in the J-League Cup, and that was against Yokohama FC. I believe those guys are up in J1 and are in second, so to be fair, that's not that bad a result for a team down in J2, but they're certainly dropping points a lot more than you'd expect in this league. Their captain is Fukuda at 32 years old, 4-star counter-ability potential in the midfield, can also play right wing and a bit further forward. He does look quite good. Their vice-captain, Kawazura, 30 years old, a left-back, also looks pretty good there with 4-star current ability and potential. And their key player is from Lithuania, Invikintas Slivka. I think I've got that name right. 4.5-star current ability and potential. A very well-rounded midfielder, to be fair. All those players we looked at there do look quite well-rounded, and he's got an absolute ton of international experience for a nation, a bit better than ours comes from in Indonesia and Vietnam these days, with Dimas and Tenlin in our lineup for this upcoming game. But obviously, having rested quite a few key players for that previous cup game, it does mean we're very close to first choice for this one. Just Yamazaki coming in for Ancelotti, but apart from that, it's the first choice 11 really, for the first time since pre-season. But seeing as this is our first home game of the save, and it's going to be the only one in today's episode, because off the back of this, we take on a bunch of teams who are really struggling currently here in J2 for the rest of the month. So that's the reason this is the only game you're going to see in today's episode. Unfortunately, the Tokyo Verdy game that got pushed back because of the cup things. But seeing as it's our first trip to our home stadium, I thought we'd just check in and see what the KloppBot's hotspots are for Saitama. And obviously with us being based in Saitama, I didn't actually need a hotel for this one, but he has found 3 fun things you can do if you're having a trip here before you come watch the Red Squirrels, especially next season, hopefully up in J1. Now first up, time for a bit of a thrill. As you go river rafting in Nagatoro, take a thrilling traditional Japanese boat ride down the Arakara River. The experience mixes calm waters with exciting rapids and provides beautiful views of the surrounding landscapes. To be fair, it sounds like something you could do here in New Zealand, but here are some pictures of the experience. There's the website. You can even jump out of the boat if you really want to, if you don't get wet on your way there. Apparently, currently, there's a 500 yen discount per person. Not too sure if that's that good a deal. They've got videos on the website about how it goes. There's also some photos of what you do before you get there. Make sure the safety stuff is working so you don't drown if you do fall out of your boat. But there's some of the rafting. It does look decent if that's your sort of thing and you're not afraid of getting stuck under the water. I'm a bit iffy about that, but there you can see what the river rafting's about. It does look like it might be quite a good time. So that's the first thing that the KloppBot has suggested there, bit of river rafting here in Saitama. Off the back of that, we're going to the Kikizaki Dekoro Shogagura, located in Kawagoe's little Edo area. It's a sake tasting bar using a vending machine system that lets you sample a range of local Saitama brews. This definitely sounds up my alley. Here are the pictures. To be fair, it's drinking, so there's not a lot of pictures before things might turn south. There you can see how you sort of pick your bottle and pick your poison. There's all the options, and there's where it is. There's not too many photos of this one, but I think you can imagine it would be quite a good time, that one. A bit of a boozy trip there in Saitama. I might be visiting that when I'm out of Red Bull in my apartment. And then we have the Tokorozawa Sakura Town, a cultural complex designed by a renowned architect. It's a hub for anime fans and art enthusiasts, featuring a stunning museum, anime-themed hotel, and a company cafeteria open to the public. Let's check out this place. There's what it looks like. To be fair, the architecture does look quite nice. There's a bit of a description like we just got before from the KloppBot. There's stuff happening at the museum, albeit will be closed for maintenance early next year if you're thinking about that. There's the museum, a couple of photos of what's going on there. To be fair, it does look quite impressive with those 2 photos. I thought there might be more going down a bit further. You can shop and eat. They've got all sorts of coffee. They've got matcha dessert specialist, that could be interesting. A ramen shop, because obviously they do a canteen, they've got a cafe, a dinner place. It looks quite nice. Some shopping, Da Vinci and stuff like that. Happy days for everyone who does feel like spending a bit of money. And going down further, there's also a shrine if you feel like doing that sort of stuff as well. So there's a bit going on there at the Tokorozawa Sakura town. Also got a couple of event spaces. Maybe that's for some of the anime stuff that they do. But there's the KloppBot's hotspots there for Saitama. Hopefully we can continue our good form and maybe even build a gap on top of the J2 as we take on Sagan Tosu. And here are the team sheets for this one. First up, us for the first time this season at home for a non-camera game. Obviously, Tenlin comes in up front off the back of that sale of NAKA-NO, as we mentioned before. Yamazaki out left with Anhaloli on a heavy workload. There are Sagan Tosu. To be fair, that's a very defensive formation. Maybe that's the reason they're struggling a bit more than you expect so far in J2. But maybe a win here will extend our gap on top of the table. And just short of the 10-minute mark, first highlight of this game is a free kick here to Sagan Tosu. They take it short as well. It can be dangerous sometimes in FM24, but thankfully so far doesn't look like they're up to too much. And Nazo plays that one back there to Harada before it goes forward to Mizawa. Now they just hold the ball briefly before spraying it out left there to Suzuki. Back in there for Honda, gets it back. And now Horigoni there is on the ball, plays it back there, holding the ball nicely. Honda there looking for the top right corner, but thankfully Higashi doesn't have to make a save there. He got close to it, but it does come off the woodwork. A good chance early there for Sagan Tosu, but still scoreless.
Yeah.
And unbelievably, just off the back of that highlight there, we do down with an injury, and of course it's still a player who was from the B team. Anholo is going to have to come on here for Yamazaki, the only first team player we gave a rest to. He's going to come on here only 15 minutes in to this game. We've got a corner off the back of that, and Angelotti, he gets brought down, so maybe he should have been starting all along. Earns us a penalty and a chance for us here to take a 1-0 lead. Gonzalez steps up from the spot and he sends the Umeda the wrong way, of course. That's the Umeda that we tried to sign as our backup goalkeeper, so suck that guy. You should be here. You've made a bad choice going to Sagan Tosu, even though season preview said it was a good idea. There's our payback as Gonzalez makes it 1-0 from the spot off back of that, down the other end for a throw. We nearly get that ball back there and a long range shot there, but thankfully that one goes just over the crossbar, so we hold on to our 1-0 lead. And almost inside the last 5 minutes of the first half, the next highlight of this game, a throw in here where we do just get the ball there through Gonzalez, bit of a loose touch, but thankfully we're back on it. Gonzalez gets it back there, tries to find Dimas, but that pass is a bit weak, but thankfully long clearance there from the opposition, and it doesn't find one of their teammates. We get lots of time there to build back up, and Gonzalez squares that one nicely there for Tenlin, but unfortunately he's still looking for his first goal for the club. They deal with the danger there to Sagan Tosu, but to be fair, despite the loss of NAKA-NO, we're still looking quite good, albeit maybe shouldn't have spoke too soon, but thankfully get that ball back there after a poor pass did give them a chance. Now Suzuki, he'll find Angelotti, who finds Tenlin there, who beats Umeda, might have even nutmegged him. Loving this so far. We're really rubbing it in there to the goalkeeper, who could have joined us. He chose these guys instead, and our signing, the KloppBot's one, scores his first goal for the club. Does the Vietnamese international Angelotti a big impact since coming off the bench there for the injured Yamazaki. But this now has been a really good first half from us, with only a couple of minutes now of added time. We're 2-0 in front, albeit now Umeda might have something to say because he creates a good chance here for Sagan Tosu on the counter-attack straight from a goal kick, but thankfully a good tackle in there and we can clear our lines, albeit Sagan Tosu look like they might here be back on the attack and maybe have waked up a little bit, might have even changed their formation just to make sure they can go a bit more attacking now that they are 2 goals down, but we are actually keeping them here peek back quite nicely inside their own half. Goes back to the goalkeeper, then to one of the defenders, but it's a poor pass. Gonzalez can get us back on the attack. A looping pass over there for Angelotti and a ton of space, who puts it away. Angelotti, massive impact here off the bench, playing with that injury to Yamazaki, but it's a shocking pass there from one of the Sagan Tosu defenders, and Angelotti finds himself there in a ton of space and beats Umeda from a tight angle, and that makes it 3-0 just before half-time, and indeed that will do it for the first half and really looking good here currently at Omiya Ardija. Despite the loss of NAKA-NO, we're still looking very strong in these games when we put out close to a first choice 11. Going to take off there Tabira on a yellow card for Matiki going into the second half, but obviously very happy with how this one's going. No other changes needed with a 3-0 lead. And just showing the arm, going to get the first highlight here of the second half. It is a throw for Sagan Tosu, who really now need a miracle in the second half of this game. We could put ourselves here in a super strong position just past the quarter-way mark of this J2 League season. Could have a big gap on top and be putting ourselves in a very strong position to get promotion up to J1. Thankfully, Gonzalez there does just keep that ball down our right-hand side. Now, Matigi, he will find Ohashi and goes out there to Figueiredo, who starts to cut inside a little bit. He'll square that one over for Dimas. A long-range effort there, almost beats Umeda yet again, but that time goes just over the crossbar. Still 3-0 to the Red Squirrels, and in fact, right off the back of that, Gonzalez has dropped down to a red heart. Not too surprising considering that he actually started that previous game in the Cup, so Yamada can come on for him. And while we're here, we'll take off any players with a little bit iffy in terms of yellow hearts as well. So Minami can come on at left back and Abe in box-to-box midfield. That's all our subs used. Still 3-0 in front. And only a few minutes on from those subs coming on, we're on the attack here yet against the Sagan Tosu having a bit of a shocker at our stadium, which is good to see. Looks like our home form might be quite strong this season as well as our away form. Rather fortunately, Minami keeps hold of the ball, plays it forward to Anhaloti, and Harada brings him down. So Anhaloti now having a hand in all of our goals, and it could be the case here from the spot as well with Gonzalez having come off again. We seem to have made it the wrong way. Oh, you should have signed for us, you silly, silly boy. But to be fair, at least he's starting for those guys. He'd beat our backup in behind Higashi, but to be fair, nothing near a clean sheet from today. We are putting him to the sword. Unholy gets on the score sheet, and deservedly so, makes it 4-0 Little Red Squirrels. And we're about to make our way here into injury time in this game. In today's episode, an absolute demolition job, which is a bit unexpected. We praised there at the wrong time. We're about to have a corner, but to be fair, it doesn't hurt the scoreline too much. We've won that one 4-0, and stats-wise as well, that's absolute domination. The XG's probably been bumped up there by the 2 penalties that we did get to top and tail our scoreline, but overall, that was a super impressive performance. Even got a first goal in there for Nguyen Tin Lin, the Vietnamese signing that the KloppBot did make there to replace NAKA-NO. To be fair, was a little bit concerned going to this game off the back of that sale because NAKA-NO had been in brilliant form, but thankfully, those attacking players in behind our striker are also carrying this team quite nicely. That's a big win, and for now it sees us go 8 points clear of the teams in the playoff promotion zone. So a huge win for us there over one of the promotion favourites there in Sagan Tosu in today's episode, and indeed, we are still 8 points clear of the teams in the playoff zone because JEF United Chiba, they lost to Montego Yamagata, so 8 points clear of both the team in second and the team who are leading the chase there in terms of the promotion playoff spots. So really in a strong position to be making our way up to J1 next season, albeit still a long way to go. Still got 27 or so games left in our season, plus whatever gets added in there for the cup games. But to be fair, if we can do well in this early part of the season, where there's a lot more midweek games than there's going to be in the second part of the season, unless we have some cup runs that do change that. But if we can do well in this part of the season, when having to rotate our team a bit more than you'd think we'd be doing late on, we should put ourselves in a super strong position to make our way up to J1 for the second season of the save. And then all the Red Bull clubs will be in the top divisions. That could make KloppBot's job a bit more interesting in deciding where we might need to go if one of the teams is struggling in their domestic league. But that will do it for today's episode. A very convincing win there, 4-0 over Sagan Tosu, even though we no longer have NAKA-NO here at the club to lead the line. If you enjoyed that one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. We'll come back at the start of next week. A quick reminder, it's a week daily series. I'm going to have a bit of a break from FM on the weekend, but coming up start of May off the back of all these pretty easy games we've got coming up. Maybe the cup might be interesting, but to be fair, don't care too much about that competition if we can gain promotion up to the J1 this season. But Tokyo Verde and JEF United Chiba, they're in third and fourth, and Tokyo Verde were the clear favourites to win this league this season. JEF United Chiba were sitting in second going in to today's episode, so I think that's a pretty good double header we can come back for at the start of next week. Also do the KloppBot's hotspots when we do go and play that game at the Chiba Stadium. So we'll come back to start of next week for those big games at the start of May against Tokyo Verdy and JEF United Chiba. So until then, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.